Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. The roadmap has been updated, and that hype train has once again left the station. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you all so much for the support, it is truly appreciated. So we have the latest roadmap update, and with it comes a huge list of important and exciting features slated for Alpha 4.0, which shows it is still scheduled to release in Q3 of this year. So this means that Cloud Imperium are still somewhat on schedule, which was mentioned during the most recent CitizenCon, I think, with summertime this year being the release window for 4.0. Now, of course, Q3 being the end of September, I suppose is not quite in summer, more in autumn, but still a great date to aim for such a major patch, and it gives them a little buffer to ensure that it comes this year, with the rest of the year available if necessary. So with that said, let me run through the features currently slated for Alpha 4.0, and do bear in mind there will, I'm sure, be many more yet to be added to the list, some of which we will hear about, some of which they will want to keep secret. Now first up, we have Server Meshing version 1, which says the initial implementation of server meshing enables multiple servers per shard to improve load distribution and facilitates navigation between the two solar systems. Now this needs no explanation, this will be static server meshing to begin with, but I will say getting the replication layer separated for 323 was a huge win and allows this momentum to continue throughout this year. Next we have the mission system refactor, which is reworking the underlying mission system to become compatible with server meshing, allowing for easier creation and maintenance of mission content. So again, it kind of speaks for itself, nothing exciting on face value, but it will allow missions to carry over for players from shard to shard. And the same kind of goes for the transit system refactor, ensuring that trams, trains and elevators are compatible with server meshing as well, plus it says being generally more robust. Hopefully this will be the end of death elevators and erratic trains, but again, nothing that we will see in terms of excitement, just an underlying system refactor. Now the next few features are the addition of the Pyro System, and all of its planets and moons. I think there are 6 planets and 6 moons, although all of the moons, I believe, are around Pyro 5. Now I won't read through all of them, as each one has a good paragraph of information about them, but some of them to take note of are Pyro 1, which says it has a thick, high-pressure atmosphere that hides a strange landscape beset by powerful winds and lightning strikes. But under the clouds is an ecosystem of plants and animals that endure its extremely high temperatures. So a very interesting planet that will be quite dangerous to visit, especially with those storms and high temperatures. I think having the right equipment and suit will be necessary, but I can just imagine flying through that thick cloud to reveal this sort of alien-like landscape beneath, with animals as well. Now, I'm not sure if we will see fauna on the planets on the initial release of 4.0, but I think with creatures now being in the persistent universe, and the Kha'Zix Greys are coming in 4.0, which we will speak about in a second, I think it is highly likely. Another interesting description is for one of Pyro 5's moons called Fuego, which says that the Headhunters gang utilised this moon as a stash point for goods during their nascent years in the early 2600s. So it could be a great place for treasure hunters to search for potential caches of loot left behind. Now, as I say, each planet and moon has a somewhat detailed description, which is certainly worth reading about, especially to get those spacefaring juices flowing. The next feature is also Pyro related, and it is called Pyro Space Stations, which says adding rundown rest stop stations to the Pyro system, which provide basic services such as repair, sustenance, and commerce. Now, these stations are not referring to the main gang hero stations. These are more rundown R&R stations, I believe, like we have in Stanton, but in a much more limited capacity, so offering some amenities, but certainly not to the scale of the station infrastructure that we have in Stanton right now. Next up, we have Colonialism Outposts, which says they are small homes for AI to live and shelter in, consisting of a central hub and a few optional internal and external modules, providing the basic necessities to support a small group of people for an indefinite amount of time. Now, these will probably be consisting of housing for actual residents of the Pyro system, not just the gangs, but those who have decided to carve out an existence in the system despite all of its dangers. Jump points are next, which obviously would be a 4.0 feature, and again require no explanation. The jump points connect Stanton to the Pyro system, allowing travel between them, but this will also include the necessary vehicle items and functionality to allow us to use them. Now, also coming for the Pyro system are solar bursts, which are dangerous natural disasters that happen regularly around older stars like the Pyro star. And what happens is the sun erupts a high-energy particle wave that travels at about 15% the speed of light throughout the entire system, and this wave can be avoided by hiding behind other objects that are big enough. Now, after taking part in the Pyro playground, I found this to be a really cool aspect of the Pyro system. Seeing the sun flaring like it does doesn't just look and feel exciting, it can also knock out your ship where you end up just falling out of the sky. It is a real threat and was great fun experiencing it, and will be a very large aspect of the Pyro system for any visitor to have to deal with, but also any permanent residents will need to learn to live with. Next, we have the life support system, which is implementing the first iteration of onboard life support systems in ships, which entails a ship component that generates breathable gas when turned on, and management of the said life support component within the vehicle's loadout manager. Now, as it states here, it is likely just going to be for ships to begin with, but this will be a system found on space stations and on certain planetary homes as well that require it. But also coming in 4.0, as you can imagine, with life support being there, is engineering, which, as we know, allows players to manage, maintain, and repair various ship systems, with players having to contend with item degradation, malfunctions, and power management. So two very large, impactful new systems there that will enhance how we use our ships and get the most out of them. Great to see both of these coming for 4.0. The next feature is called Charge and Drain, and is adding the ability for players to drain, store, and charge objects with power using the Multitool. And this includes the ability to overcharge objects and also remove distortion damage. So this is a really interesting one, and it sounds like it might just apply to the Multitool to begin with. Not sure what it means by charging items with the Multitool, but essentially it's a battery charge that these devices have, and they can run down when in use and will need to be recharged, or have a new battery attached. So adding a lot more decision making to when and how to use items like the Multitool. It is also interesting that they speak about overcharging items, which will likely mean pushing something further, but at the expense of draining the charge quicker and potentially degrading the item quicker as well. So there is a lot to this, and over time many other items will use this feature, like fire hydrants, energy FPS weapons, and other battery operated tools as well. Now, talking of the Multitool, it is going to receive some updates for 4.0, with it saying raising the Multitool up to the standard from Squadron 42, with additional functionality like cutting for specific scenarios, repair, and updates like improved handling, integrated UI, and the use of batteries to operate it. Now, it will be great to get the Multitool up to snuff, as it is a very common tool that I think most people use, but it has become a bit cumbersome over the years, so I do look forward to it feeling more refined and polished, not to mention having the expendable supply of power. Now, next we have the fire hazard system, which tracks fires and temperature on static and dynamic objects, and for the initial release it says fire will be set up on a select few vehicles. Now, I am sure that we are all pretty aware of what this system is and does, utilizing the room atmosphere system and the resource network to ignite a fire and then have it propagate throughout the environment realistically, requiring players to put it out in various ways. And one such way is the fire extinguisher, which is also coming for 4.0, and I bet it's going to be quite therapeutic putting out fires, so I cannot wait. Now, next up we have the MFD rework and new HUDs, which means all of the multifunction displays will be rebuilt using building blocks, with new designs, functionality, and customization options, and also includes a select number of updated ship HUDs, providing greater visibility as well as manufacturer-based visual overhauls. So this is a great feature for 4.0, and will really help to not just improve the usability and legibility of each ship HUD and MFD, but also align each ship more within the manufacturer that built it. And so far, we have heard or seen work in progress for the brands RSI, Aegis, and Drake, but hopefully they will have others as well. And as we saw at CitizenCon, these MFDs will allow us to set up what we want to see and have them persist from session to session, plus access many ship settings from the MFDs themselves rather than having to go into the game settings to do so. So a really big win there, and it'll be nice to move away from the HUD that we have now that is shared across all ships and vehicles to more bespoke for their brand. Now next up we have a new creature. As mentioned, it is the Kazi Grazer, which is a large warm-blooded herd animal that were originally discovered on the vast plains of Kazi on Terra and carry their eggs on their underside. These space cows, as we call them, have become one of the standard seed animals that can be commonly found on most terraformed planets in the UEE. So a nice fauna addition that I was hoping we would see in 3.2.3, but alas, 4.0 it is. Plus, I certainly expect there will be many more animals and creatures for 4.0 that they just won't tell us about until we discover them. Maybe even the space whales or storm walls and the pyro crab, or even the boreal stalker. We have yet to see that. Now finally, we have the RSI Zeus Mark II ES, or Essential. So that pretty much confirms to me that we won't be seeing any of the Zeus ships release for Invictus this year, but a nice ship to look forwards to when venturing into the depths of Pyro, and I'm sure there will be many other vehicles and ships coming for 4.0 as we get closer to its release. Now to finish with, the Mirai Pulse and Pulse LX have been added to 3.2.3's release view, and for 3.2.3.1, which has just gone live by the way, necessary for Invictus, which is releasing today, so do keep your eye out for the free fly. But for 3.2.3.1, the Retaliator Gold Standard and Vehicle Modularity has been committed, so they are now 95% certain that those two will come along in 3.2.3.1, and hopefully they're already in. Maybe we will see them revealed for Invictus though. So, quite the roadmap update. This has really got my hype train moving. So excited to see this stuff rolling out, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see much of 4.0 testing, especially server meshing, come into the tech preview channel or the PTU or ePTU for the EvaCatis pretty quickly, even while the 3.23.x patches are getting worked on as well, as they will want to give 4.0 the biggest test window possible to ensure that it is thoroughly ironed out as possible as well. Cloud Imperium are seriously not slowing down, and the momentum is just increasing, with 3.2.3 out now, 3.2.3.1 now released, and more to come in this branch. 4.0 is on its way. Do let me know what 4.0 feature you are most excited for and why. Plus, there is just a few days left to pick up the TOBII Tracker 5 at 15% off, as the sale ends on the 20th now. A big thank you to everyone who has done so already. I really appreciate the support. And as mentioned, if you want to take a screenshot of my settings as a starting point to set up your own TOBII, by all means ask me over on Twitch. I can help you out there. And if you do pick up a TOBII tracker using my code or link in the description, thank you in advance, as it does directly support my channel. But don't worry, there will be many more sales for the TOBII tracker throughout the year. You don't need to pay full price. But with that said, if you do appreciate my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. We are almost at 65,000. Come and follow me over at twitch.tv/SuperMacBrother. You are all more than welcome over there. We will be jumping into 3.2.3.1 today. Might even be live while Invictus drops, so that would be nice to check out. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour, and tick that notification bell if you would like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, a huge thank you to my patrons and channel members. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.